What is going on, Crisis Actors? There was crazy news that broke last night that the intense bidding war that has been going on to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery from many different companies, the likes of Paramount, the likes of Netflix, the likes, at one point people thought Saudi Arabia was going to buy them. This seems to have come to an end, or at least the first phase of this, as what it looks like we're seeing here is that Netflix has won that bidding war. I have seen several different reports from places like Reuters, CNN Business, The Wrap. Some are saying it was an $82.7 billion deal that was a mix of both cash and stock. And other people, the reports I'm seeing more recently are from CNN Business and from Reuters. They're saying it's a $72 billion deal, mostly cash and stock. And they're just going to be buying Warner Brothers Studios and streaming HBO Max. So what's happening right now is Warner Brothers is in the process of splitting their companies, because it's not Warner Brothers, it's Warner Brothers Discovery. And what you're seeing is that they're splitting off Warner Brothers Studios and HBO Max into its own entity. And then you've got CNN over there at Discovery and all of the cable channels. And it looks like the biggest loser in all of this will be CNN and the cable channels. I don't know what's going to happen to them if this does go through. And I'm going to eat some crow here because I did not think Netflix was going to win. I see too many downsides to any of these companies buying Warner Brothers. I hate the idea of further consolidation for a lot of reasons. I think that for a lot of people, they're going to end up losing out here. Not just the professionals, not just the people who work in Hollywood, as it's going to mean less job, as consolidation means less people working behind the scenes, less projects getting greenlit as the company, basically intakes all of this other company's work. And as we've seen in the past, these things rarely bode well for the company that gets bought. Look at what happened to 20th Century Fox after Disney bought up all their rights. It's basically stripped for parts, and the movies they release now are an afterthought. And this is a bad thing, giving Netflix's propensity to hate the idea of theatrical release. Now, I know that they have claimed that they are going to commit themselves to doing theatrical releases with this acquisition. I don't think that that matters. I think that those theatrical windows will be shortened. I don't think we're going to get even a month anymore when we used to get movies that were out for months at a time. I think you're going to get 2 weeks probably for a lot of these films, and that's horrible. Look at this year. Warner Brothers was the first studio. They may even be the only studio. They were the first. No, not the only studio, but they were definitely the first studio in 2025, which has been a bad year at the box office. They were the first of them to reach $4 billion cumulative at the box office. And it wasn't just through blockbusters. It was through smaller, successful films that nobody thought might do as well as they did. And that voice will be trampled on as this stuff goes through. So let's look at this article from CNN Business. It says Netflix announced the blockbuster deal with Warner Brothers Discovery on Friday morning. It has agreed to buy the legendary TV and movie studio assets like HBO streaming service for $72 million plus debt. Is the for the business majors in the comments, is the $10 million the debt that they're talking about that makes it 82? But they're saying $72 million plus debt. The announcement jolted Hollywood and jumbled expectations for the next steps for Warner Brothers Discovery, which is also the parent company of CNN. Warner Brothers Discovery said it's moving forward with its plan to split into two publicly traded companies in 2026. Once the split takes effect, Netflix intends to acquire the Warner half. The other half, Discovery Global, will house CNN and other cable stations. Warner Brothers Discovery now expects the split to take effect in the summer of 2026, but this mega deal merger is far from over, as Paramount, Comcast, and other media giants known have submitted offers to Warner Brothers Discovery may continue to pursue the company. Look, and they're also saying that Netflix stock fell about 2% in early trading, while Warner Brothers Discovery obviously gained stock of 2%. I honestly expected those numbers to be greater, I suppose. But I guess the question here now for a lot of people is they thought that perhaps that this is what David Zaslav wanted all along, because he kept kind of waiting and waiting and waiting despite the aggressive bidding that was coming from David Ellison and Paramount. So it makes you wonder, was this what he wanted and he just went until he got the offer he wanted? It says Netflix's 27.75 a share bid tops Paramount's offer, combining leading streaming platforms to draw antitrust concerns. I'm eating crow on this topic because I really did not believe that Netflix was going to be the one that was going to acquire them. There was this article, it was written a couple of weeks ago that I still remember covering, I don't know if I ever actually put the video out on it. There was a representative named Darrell Issa he's a Republican from California, sent a letter dated November 13th to Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson and Gail Slater, Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department's Antitrust Division. And Variety had this copy of the letter, and this was the part that I found the most interesting of it. It says, with more than 300 million global subscribers and a vast content library, Netflix currently wields unequaled market power. Adding both HBO Max subscribers and Warner Brothers premier content rights would further enhance this position, reportedly pushing the combining entity above a 30% share of the streaming market, a threshold that is traditionally viewed as the presumptively problematic, level under antitrust law. And I did think that was one of the things that was going to dissuade David Zaslav from making this decision. I thought that Larry Ellison and David Ellison's strong relationship to the Trump administration, given the fact that Larry Ellison is such good friends with Donald Trump, I thought that was an extremely enticing, side of things for them to go forward with Paramount rather than with the likes of Netflix. Apparently I was wrong on that. I will give them that. But there was some comments made. This was from Reuters today. It says, this is from Ted Sarandos. He was on a call with investors. He says, I know some of you are, I'm going to pull it up on screen here so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. It says, I know some of you are surprised that we're making this acquisition, and I certainly understand why, he said. Over the years, we have been known as builders, not buyers, but this is a rare opportunity that's going to help us achieve our mission to entertain the world and bring people together through great stories. Yeah, Netflix itself, very early on in their dominance, understood that they were eventually going to enter into a streaming world where, as it got more popular, these studios and these companies were going to start sectoring themselves off, taking their IP and making their own streaming services rather than license them out constantly to Netflix, which was the business model at the time. People were a lot happier at that time because you only went to Netflix and Hulu to get all your streaming content. It really was the only golden age there really was of streaming. But since then, of course, every company built out their own infrastructure. COVID made that much more, applicable to a lot of these companies. As production shut down, they needed a way to build cash and build money for their businesses, so they had to have their own streaming platforms. So they greenlit what they could and tried to build out their own streaming library, but they were always playing catch up to Netflix, who was so successful at that because they got in on the ground floor early with all of that. And there was another article from Variety. It says, anonymous A-listers lobby Congress against the Netflix Warner Brothers acquisition. Streamer would hold a noose around the theatrical marketplace. And that's basically what they're talking about here. It says the communication outlines 3 great areas of concern, including Netflix could stand to destroy the theatrical marketplace by eliminating the amount of time that Warner Brothers films would play in theaters before hitting a combined Netflix HBO Max streaming platform. That's the other question I have. Are we going to see what's happening to Hulu right now? Hulu, which is my favorite of all the streaming platforms because it has been consistently holding all of these classic shows that I really like. Well, it's being folded into Disney Plus, and I hate that. I don't want to have I don't want Disney Plus, and I like Hulu for what it is, but now the prices are going to go up. Your options are going to be limited. I am sure a certain amount of Hulu content that's on there will be dumped off the platform as they make room for everything on there. I don't think they're just going to dump everything into one place. It says, they're talking about the escalating, threat of Warner Brothers films basically being pushed out of the marketplace too early. It says sources told Variety earlier on Thursday that Netflix's current proposal for Warner Brothers would have a theatrical window as thin as 2 weeks of exclusivity before moving to a streaming platform. Another insider familiar with the deal flatly denied this, saying that the periods would be longer. Rival bidders Comcast and Paramount would both have robust theatrical distribution outlets. Paramount has specifically pledged to keep Warner Brothers Discovery running as its own standalone business and would make a minimum of 14 movies per year. Yeah, it's funny because I'm seeing a lot. That seemed like the best of a bad option for all of this stuff. But I've seen a lot of people, they just hate David Zaslav so much, and they now hate David Ellison so much, what I call Ellison derangement syndrome. They're just happy that David Ellison didn't get the platform. And what are you going to get with Netflix, right? It's not like Netflix is known. First of all, you're going to get all of the HBO IP all of the Warner Brothers IP that's going to go over there. And I hate that because it's not like Netflix is known for taking great care with their IP that they've got from other companies, right? It's basically the meme of the race and gender swapped characters that Netflix would end up putting out for everything. The one bright spot being, of course, Netflix's Marvel series, and even those had diminishing returns as it went on. I hate this. I hate everything about this. And it hurts everyone. It hurts the actors because there will be less overall output every year. Do not listen to what they're saying. It's like every corporate raider that's ever bought another business and said, you know what? Don't worry about your jobs. Your jobs are safe. Nothing is going to change. Everyone knows that is bullshit. Everyone knows that more layoffs are coming. AI is already threatening the marketplace for a lot of these professionals. So it hurts the actors because there's going to be less overall filmmakers, hurts script writers, hurts directors, hurts all the people behind the camera. It hurts the people who do post-production because they will consolidate down to do their, Netflix has made acquisitions of post-production and stuff like that. Like, they're not going to keep everyone on. So less jobs all around. It hurts the theaters as theatrical windows shrink and less movies get made. Don't buy the hype and think that they're just going to continue with the exact same output as they did before. They're going to need to lean things out if they want to start to see a return on their investment. Disney is still struggling because of the bad choices they made. They are still struggling. They have still not turned the profit that they need to turn to make Star Wars worth the investment that they paid for it. How crazy is that? Marvel has been obviously a strong return on investment for them, but, with Pixar these days, Pixar is a shell of what it once was when Disney acquired it, and that's what Disney is known for. They are known as an acquisition hub because that was Bob Iger's approach to business. It's crazy to me that Netflix would want to go in this direction, but I think they sensed the end of the market cap with what they could do, and this was the next logical step forward because that's how business works. Hurts the theaters, hurts audiences because there's, one major voice now in charge of all of this IP that they don't necessarily want to see in charge of everything. Like I said, I make the joke all the time. It's not even Warner Brothers. It's Paramount and it's Universal are the two title cards that when I see them in a movie, when I see them at the start of a movie, I don't immediately dread what I'm going to see and feel like I'm going to have to work to make sure that I like it, right? In general, when I see stuff from Universal or when I see stuff from Paramount, I tend to like it. That's just the way it is. I'm obviously more dubious with Netflix. There have been some movies in the past couple of years that I've really, really liked. I liked that was Carry On last year. I liked the Extraction movies, the first one more so than the second one. There are releases there that I liked, but as far as television shows, things like that, nah, not a whole lot there for me. So having a voice that I don't particularly care for in charge of a bunch of IP, like say Harry Potter or DC, and I haven't even gotten into what this means for DC Studios, for James Gunn, for all of those productions going forward. What does it mean for them? That's a whole nother thing entirely. Are we going to have to see a cringe-inducing Netflix adaptation of all of these franchises? I think there's going to be people that are going to try to white pill you on it and say that it's going to be great for the industry. I hate to be a downer today, but that just doesn't seem to be the case. At least I don't feel like that's what's going to be the case. Let me know down below, guys, what do you think about this? There's all this news coming out right now. I might make a separate video entirely about what the implications are for this when it comes to DC, because Cosmic Book News has been talking consistently about how this might be a good thing for the restoring of the Snyderverse, which I don't particularly want, even though I did like most of those movies for the most part. I don't think you can go home again. I don't, does that mean that Netflix's relationship with Zack Snyder would put that more so on the table? I hope not, but we will have to wait and see, guys. Let me know down below, what do you think this means for Hollywood as an industry? What's your take on it? If you don't know what our podcast is, guys, Pop Culture Crisis will be live again starting next week on Tuesday. We will be pre-recording on Monday, December 8th. We are looking very forward to start the new, this new era in the show. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. I'm talking about this type of stuff all the time when it comes to Hollywood, so follow me there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.